The NFL is filled with freak athletes, guys who can run like track stars, hit like linebackers, and lift like powerlifters. They break records at the combine, dominate college football, and look like the future of the league. But what if I told you being a freak athlete doesn't guarantee NFL success? Some of these guys were top picks, hyped as the next big thing, and blessed with gifts we've never seen before. But once they hit the pros, it all came crashing down. Whether it was injuries, lack of work ethic, or just the brutal reality of NFL competition, these players went from can't-miss prospects to unforgettable flops. Here are the freak athletes who flopped big time in the NFL. Starting with Jamarcus Russell. If there's one name that defines the word bust, it's Jamarcus Russell. At LSU, Russell looked unstoppable. He was 6'6", 265 pounds with a cannon for an arm. He could throw the ball 70 yards flat-footed and once launched it 60 yards downfield from his knees. At the 2007 NFL Draft, the Raiders fell in love with the measurables and made him the #1 overall pick. Right away, the problem showed. Work ethic issues, conditioning concerns, and when he finally got on the field, disaster. He went just 7-18 as a starter, completed barely 52% of his passes, and threw more interceptions than touchdowns. Within 3 years, the freak of nature was out of the league. Jamarcus Russell was living proof that raw athleticism isn't enough. But if Russell was the poster boy for quarterback busts, Trent Richardson was his running back twin. At Alabama, Richardson looked like the prototype running back. 5'9", 228 pounds of muscle, he could squat nearly 500 pounds and truck defenders like they were high schoolers. He dominated college football, winning a national championship and rushing for nearly 1,700 yards in 2011. The Browns drafted him 3rd overall in 2012, expecting a franchise-changing back, and at first it looked promising, but Richardson's lack of vision and lateral quickness quickly showed. He averaged just 3.3 yards per carry for his career, constantly running into his own linemen or missing open lanes. The Colts even traded a first-round pick for him, hoping he'd turn it around. Instead, it got worse. By 2014, Richardson was already on the bench, and by 2016, he was completely out of the NFL. And if Richardson showed college success isn't enough, Vince Young showed us that even freak athleticism at quarterback can't guarantee success. Few college quarterbacks were more electrifying. At Texas, Young ran like a running back, threw clutch touchdowns, and delivered one of the greatest performances in college football history in the 2006 Rose Bowl. At 6'5", 232 pounds, running a 4.58 40, he looked like the future of the position. The Titans made him the 3rd overall pick in 2006, and early on, it seemed like the hype was real. He won Rookie of the Year and made 2 Pro Bowls. But mechanics, inconsistency, and clashes with coaches caught up to him. By 2011, just 5 years in, he was already out of his starting job. Vince Young had the size, speed, and arm talent to be a superstar. Instead, he became another cautionary tale. But while Young's downfall came with inconsistency, Justin Blackmon was almost entirely self-inflicted. At Oklahoma State, he was a monster. Back-to-back Biletnikoff Awards, over 3,000 receiving yards in 2 seasons, and the swagger of a future NFL star. At 6'1", 207 pounds with elite explosiveness, he looked like the next Terrell Owens. The Jaguars took him 5th overall in 2012, and his rookie season showed promise with 64 catches for 865 yards. But off the field, it was chaos. Multiple substance abuse suspensions cut his career short, and by 2014, Justin Blackmon was gone from the league. He had all the tools, but no discipline. And speaking of tools, no prospect looked more like a can't-miss freak than Courtney Brown. At 6'5", 266 pounds, he ran a 4.52 40, benched 24 reps, and had a 37-inch vertical. Scouts drooled over him, and in 2000, the Browns made him the #1 overall pick. Year 1 showed promise, 4.5 sacks, constant disruption, but injuries wrecked his career. Knees, ankles, elbows, Brown just couldn't stay healthy. In 6 seasons, he managed only 19 sacks before fading out. Sometimes the body just can't match the talent. And honestly, we're just getting started. The biggest freaks who flamed out are still coming up. While you're here, let us know in the comments, who's the biggest NFL bust you remember? While Courtney Brown's body betrayed him over time, Anthony Richardson's questions started immediately. At the 2023 Combine, Richardson turned heads with one of the greatest workouts ever. 6'4", 244 pounds, 4.43 40, 40.5-inch vertical. Unreal numbers for any position, let alone quarterback. The Colts were convinced and drafted him 4th overall. But in his rookie year, he managed just 4 games before a shoulder injury ended his season. Add in the raw passing mechanics and the doubts are real. It's too early to call him a complete bust, but if he never stays healthy, Richardson might become the ultimate what-if freak athlete. And it doesn't help getting benched for Daniel Jones to start the 2025 season with the Indianapolis Colts under new leadership. Of course, Richardson's story is still being written, but Tony Mandarich's story has already been cemented as one of the worst busts ever.
You would say that's one of the worst draft picks ever.
Dubbed the Incredible Bulk, Mandarich was 6'6", 315 pounds, ran a 4.65 40, and benched 225 pounds for 39 reps. Sports Illustrated called him the best offensive line prospect ever. In 1989, the Packers took him 2nd overall, ahead of Barry Sanders, Derek Thomas, and Deion Sanders. But instead of dominance, Mandarich delivered disaster. Steroid rumors, work ethic problems, and attitude issues defined his time in Green Bay. He lasted just 3 years before being cut. He later admitted he never took the NFL seriously, and it showed. And if Mandarich is remembered as the ultimate offensive line bust, Vernon Gholston holds that title for pass rushers. At Ohio State, he was a nightmare. At 6'3", 266 pounds, he ran a 4.67 40, cranked out 37 bench reps, and looked like a future star. The Jets took him 6th overall in 2008, expecting dominance. What they got instead? 0 career sacks. In 3 seasons, Gholston failed to record a single sack. Despite his insane athleticism, he simply couldn't translate it to the pros. But Gholston wasn't the first Combine warrior to disappoint. Mike Mamula might be the original. At the 1995 Combine, Mamula tested like a superhero. A 4.58 40 time, 28 bench press reps, 38.5-inch vertical. The Eagles were so impressed they drafted him 7th overall. The problem? Mamula had trained specifically for Combine drills, not football. And while he had a few decent seasons, he finished with just 31.5 sacks in 6 years. Not terrible, but far from what you would expect from a top 10 pick. Mamula taught the NFL a harsh lesson. Combine numbers don't always equal production. And finally, we end with one of the Raiders' most infamous draft reaches, Darrius Heyward-Bey. In 2009, with elite receiver Michael Crabtree still on the board, Oakland shocked everyone by taking Heyward-Bey 7th overall. Why? Speed. At the Combine, he ran a blazing 4.25 40, one of the fastest ever. But speed was all he had. His hands were shaky, his route running sloppy, and he never developed into a true threat. While he stuck around as a role player and a special teamer, he never came close to living up to his draft slot. Heyward-Bey proved that track speed doesn't always make an NFL wideout. So, what's the lesson here? The NFL is a cruel place. It's a business. Freakish size, speed, and strength can get you drafted, but they won't keep you on the field. For every Derrick Henry or Calvin Johnson, there are a dozen Jamarcus Russells and Vernon Gholstons, guys who looked like the future but became cautionary tales. Being a freak athlete gets you hype, but being a great football player, that takes work, discipline, and a little bit of luck. Which flop surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and check out more videos right here on Pro Kickoff US. See you on the next one.